I love when clients experience those aha moments or eureka moments where all of a sudden the penny drops and they begin to get a better understanding of why it is they feel like they feel, why they act like they act, why they think like they think. However, when it comes to transformation, when it comes to living a higher vibration life, it is only scratching the surface, because all of the insight and awareness in the world is really not all that beneficial unless you can use it to make better choices and to put appropriate action in place. And that's the hard bit, doing things differently on a day-to-day basis. And believe you me, I know, I mean, if insight and awareness was an Olympic sport, I'd wipe the floor. I literally had to develop that level of awareness because I've experienced a multitude of mental health conditions since I was a child, since the age of 8 or 9. And I suppose I would have first been in therapy from the age of 11. So I know what I'm talking about when I say that it's really, really straightforward, despite the complexity of it, to understand why you do what you do. The hard bit is doing things differently. And I suppose that's the reason I got into the work that I do, and why I incorporate psychodynamics into my day-to-day work with clients, because it's so important to get an understanding why you feel the way you feel, and it can be so beneficial for people. But I understand also how difficult it can be to utilize that information in a positive way, and to not nearly cling to it as an excuse for living and continuing to be as you are. It's about recognizing that it's your responsibility to use that information to live a little bit differently, to make better choices, to challenge your thoughts, your interpretations, and to possibly most of the time do the polar opposite to what it is you feel inclined to do. And I love that Zen quotation that is: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water; after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Now, I'm not for 1 second suggesting that I'm enlightened, but what it means to me is that oftentimes, creating the awareness, we think, oh my God, my life is going to be different. And it's not. I mean, life is still very difficult. And I suppose I have an ongoing mental health condition, which I constantly, it's never going to, it's not one of those things you just get better from. It's just something that you manage. So I suppose these are things that I have to put in place on a day-to-day basis. And it can be so challenging because ultimately you're trying to, I suppose, heal yourself with your mind, despite the fact that your mind is the problem in the first place. It's such a crazy paradox. And I think we have this paradigm of kind of recovery, that we're just going to one day wake up and things are going to be completely different, that we're going to live in this utopian kind of eternal place of happiness. And that's just not how it works. I mean, mental health issues need continuous work. It's like literally going to the gym. I mean, you don't go to the gym for a few weeks and then expect to stay fit for the rest of your life. You have to continue working at it. You have to continue showing up. You have to continue doing the things that help you and contribute to you feeling okay. And then sometimes you have to accept the fact that you're just going to have shit days, that you're just going to feel fucked up, and that there's nothing you can do bar tolerate it and ride it out, and try to be very conscious of the fact that you're feeling like that, and try not to take it out on too many people, and try not to let it become this existential kind of crisis where all of a sudden your life is in disarray. Just recognize, okay, I'm in a really bad place at the minute, and what can I do to try and help myself? What can I do to be compassionate here? And I think oftentimes it can be so frustrating when other people don't understand you, when you feel very isolated and alone in that. And it's about having a certain amount of grace and understanding for other people in your pain, because sometimes you can feel so frustrated, you can feel compelled to kind of take it out on other people, and sure, that's not really beneficial either. It's about understanding that you have to be kind to yourself in it. You have to allow the suffering sometimes, you have to tolerate it sometimes, and you have to allow others not to fully understand. That's part and parcel of the journey, you know. And it's recognizing that you're never going to have all the answers. Life is never going to be perfect. I mean, there's always going to be ambiguity, there's always going to be ambivalence, there'll be days that you just feel meh, and that's just part and parcel of life. And I mean, I'm not just kind of like, I have days, as I said, where um it feels intolerable. It feels so difficult to sit with. It feels like as if it never is going to end. And when you're in that place, that's what you genuinely believe. That's the paradigm that you have going on. I mean, this is how it's going to be forever. But it never is. It never is forever. And I suppose if you can kind of hold on to a faith that you're going to come out the other side, you know, and that things will get a little bit better and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, then that'll get you through, you know. And sometimes it's about believing when you're not even sure what it is that you're believing in. And I suppose when it comes to consciously doing things differently, I mean, it makes sense. All right, okay, what I'm doing on a daily basis is contributing to my unhappiness and my disease or my illness, or, you know, kind of my inability to show up in relationships, or how it is that I'm feeling. But the thing is, our ego and our pride and our defenses, I mean, they stand against us when it comes to just being like, okay, yeah, it makes sense, I just do things differently, why didn't I think of that? It's not that straightforward. It's really, really difficult. It's really challenging. And you're not going to always be able to do it by yourself. And as I said, that's where the kind of the spiritual aspect of things come into it. You have to just surrender and just accept the fact that you're not always in control, that you don't have all the answers, that there isn't a guaranteed fix, and that you're just always going to have to work at it. But it's beautiful as well. And I mean, that's, I suppose, one of the saving graces for me has been the humbling aspect of it, and the opportunity to become self-aware, the opportunity to be curious about the world, to be curious about who I am, what my spirit is about, what, you know, kind of things stand for, understanding different philosophies, understanding how it is our brain works, understanding how it is emotions work. And I suppose being able to connect with others, because there is a connection in suffering. You know, if we can be honest and open, as opposed to feeling we have to be ashamed, or, you know, that we have to be superior to other people, that we have to keep our pride intact, that we can't be vulnerable, that, you know, we have to stay on top. There is so much room for, you know, connecting with people who are genuinely on the same page as you, and who you can possibly learn so much from. And as well as that, I mean, by tapping into your pain, by tapping into your intuition, by tapping into what it is that your heart is telling you, oftentimes that's where so much of our creativity and our imagination comes from. So, you know, it's worth recognizing that with the pain also comes a lot of positives. And, you know, it's not that I'm trying to say that, you know, you should be happy or grateful for the fact that you're struggling, but it's about recognizing that there is purpose in everything, and that out of everything there is something to be grateful for, you know. And that's not easy when you're in the midst of a shitstorm and you're just like, fuck this. But it's trying to remind yourself that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that there is hope. If you want to work with me on an individual basis, get in touch with me on my website, fundamentals.ie.